Good evening, everyone. I am CA Dinesh Chawla, the moderator of this virtual meeting. We are delighted to welcome you all in the virtual meeting being organized by the Continuing Professional Education Committee of the ICI. It is my pleasure to be a moderator for this session on VCM on role of CAs in compliance of PoSH law, which is also called the prevention of sexual harassment. And we are also adding one more topic, which is on the CFO. In a short while, we will be starting this VCM, and I would like to appraise you about our CPE committee. The profession of chartered accountancy has always been recognized for the quality of education, training, and strong grip over the technical standards. With globalization and increasing business complexities, it is essential that chartered accountants equip themselves with the changes occurring and stand out to the expectations of the society. Our institute is constantly working and contributing to cater to the needs and the requirements of our members and has taken various initiatives for them from time to time in the direction. With this view, the CPE committee of ICI has always been the foremost to provide opportunities to their members to boost their knowledge base. The program for this evening is as follows. We have 2 sessions of 1 hour each, and the topics are the role of chartered accountants in compliance of PoSH law, which is also known as prevention of sexual harassment at workplace, followed by CFO services, whatever the mega professional opportunities are available in this field. Our eminent speakers will talk about topics into 2 emerging areas of the professional interest. This is a brief introduction about what we would be covering today. Now, I would like to give a small and brief introduction about our chairman of CPE committee, CA Dr. Rajkumar Adukia, who is a BCom honors, fellow chartered accountant, fellow company secretary, and a fellow cost accountant as well. Also possesses LLB, MBA, MBF, MCom, DIP, IFRS of UK, DLL and LW, DIPR, Diploma in Criminology, PhD, Insolvency Professional, UNODC, Advanced Anti-Corruption, Prevention of Corruption. He is serving the ICI in various capacities since 1998. Presently, he is serving the ICI as a Central Council member and also the chairman of the CPE committee, CPEC, CECL, and EA and CDS Directorate ICI. CA Dr. Adukia left no stone unturned during his career span, expanding to more than 37 years. He is a pioneer of many areas of practice which were never taught before by professionals. He served as a president of GST Research Foundation. He is the chairman of Association of Indian Investors and vice president of All India Insolvency Professionals. He has mentored more than 1,000 professionals for passing the insolvency exam and valuation exam. He has authored more than 300 books on a wide variety of topics, ranging from those dealing with trade, taxation, finance, real estate, and insolvency. He is the winner of National Book Honors Awards 2018. CA Dr. Adukia is very passionate about learning new things and believes self-improvement is a permanent process. I am honored for CA Dr. Adukia to have planned this seminar in 2 steps. Now, a brief introduction about our vice chairman as well. CA Gyanchandra Mishra is a fellow member of ICI, associate member of ICSI, LLB, and an insolvency professional. He is serving the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in various capacities since 2010. Presently, he is serving the ICI as a Central Council member. He is the vice chairman of CPE committee, IASB, and Committee of Management Accounting. He is also a member of the Examination Committee. He possesses about 24 years of proven professional track record and has been instrumental in contributing the social cause of social welfare as well. He has served as a speaker or resource person at various forums and delivered lectures on various topics. Moving on to our session speaker, Mr. Sushil Mehta. We welcome you, sir. Sushil Mehta has an experience of about more than 22 years in corporate M&A, compliance management, foreign investment laws, as well as employment and labor laws. He has completed BCom, CS, LLB, DBF, ICFAI, Diploma in Cyber Laws, Indian Law Institute, DNIIT. He is a certified CSR and PoSH professional with the ICSI. He has also conducted various secretarial and legal due diligences on various companies engaged in different sectors. He has advised large gamut of clientele for formulating effective and legally acceptable labor law policy and contracts, covering the aspects like leave policy, retrenchment policy, wage policy, overtime policy, dispute resolution, expatriate employment rules and processes, bonus provident fund issues, layoff termination processes, and social security benefits for domestic and international workers. He has regularly contributed to ICSI, ICAI, PhD CCI, ASSOCHAM as speaker on corporate law subjects and being member to their corporate law and legal affairs committee. He is also a founder member and convener of the core club formed for the professionals like CS, CA, ICWA, CFA, MBAs with the motive of overall development through mutual exchange of knowledge. He has also submitted various research papers on topics such as setting up engineering and manufacturing operations in India. We welcome you, sir. Over to you to carry on with the topic for the session. So members, we request you to put all your questions in the question box so that our technical team can share us and we can ask our expert as well. The last 10 minutes we'll reserve for Q&A session. Until then, over to you, Sushil, sir, to take the floor.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Dinesh and team ICI for providing me this opportunity to share my knowledge and experience with fellow professionals. Although this is a very sensitive topic, and I think we as professionals have a huge responsibility to let our clients and everyone we get in touch with to make them aware of the legal requirement. And it's a huge opportunity for professionals like CACS in this field. I'll be sharing my presentation. You all can see it. Right?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay, great. Okay. So in this session, we'll be covering the background of the Act, why this Act has come into picture, what is the requirement under this law, what is sexual harassment per se as per the law as has defined under the Act itself, what is internal complaint committee, what its role, responsibilities and obligations. There are certain important judgments which has been passed. So while going through the session, we'll cover them wherever required. And most importantly, how CAs can help in the whole process to ensure that the compliance is there and to spread the word so that there is an awareness and we can ensure in our organization as well as the client's organization that a healthy working environment is provided to all the employees irrespective of their gender. And then we'll definitely have question and answer session. To start with, what is the background of this Act? So the Act per se is called as Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace, Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act. Why this Act has come into picture? There was a long story behind it. In 1997, Vishakha, there is an NGO or the activist, women activist who filed a case for a lady called Bhavri Devi, who was employed with the government of Rajasthan and were brutally raped by the local village people while she was taking action against the child marriage and all. So post that, when this matter was at Supreme Court has put down regulations and guidelines for the organization to have a redressal mechanism so that such incidences doesn't take place again. So Act has more or less three core elements to talk about: prohibition, prevention, and redressal. And most importantly, this Act is providing a civil remedy under under its provisions. Otherwise, a woman employee or otherwise has rights to go against the criminal proceedings as well for any such misdeed. There is a requirement to have a PoSH policy, since many of the organizations nowadays are multinational and they are following a global policy, which is a gender neutral policy. But this Act per se requires protection to female gender. So Act has defined aggrieved women. And in the face of it also, the Act is for prevention of sexual harassment against women. So that's why we need to have a policy in place in all the organizations to clear its stand whether it wants to be a gender specific or a gender neutral policy against this issue, because this there'll be a harassment cases, sexual harassment cases against all type of employees. So there needs to be a policy to be in place, which clarifies like what all is prohibited, whether if anything happened, what would be the redressal mechanism. If there is already a policy, you probably need to redraft or see whether it already covered the minimum prescribed under the Act. It is an obligation of an employer to have this policy properly circulated or disseminated to the employees at large. It also need to be displayed at noticeable places like notices at the cafeteria, at the entrance, or at the where the employees have an access to it. It also need to be communicated to all the employees. It needs to be periodically reviewed as well, because there are certain judgments or some clarifications keep on coming. And also some state level notifications are also there, where the state authorities has right to provide for some timelines or display requirements. So that needs to be regularly looked into and included in the policy. Important aspect is when the new person joins in, because since he is not aware of the policy your organization is following, it is important that at the time of induction, he needs to be made aware of what the company policy is, so he can accordingly manage his conduct within the organization. PoSH Act also requires an internal complaint committee to be constituted. And essentially it requires to have 3 layers of people. First is the chairperson or presiding officer, as we say, which needs to be a woman at a senior level as employee. If not available at a particular place, she can be from other departments, other offices of an organization. Then it requires 2 members who should be from that particular unit for which you are constituting an ICC. They can be any people who have a little bit of experience or knowledge about the issue and sensitive about the cause in this regard. Then third requirement, which is important in the scenario we are living in, is an external member who can be a professional, or he could be among from the NGO associations who are committed to the cause of women, or a person familiar with issue of sexual harassment. So this is basically a constitution of an internal complaint committee, which every organization needs to form. So one would say where it is all applicable. So it is applicable to all the organization, be it public, private, ministries, institutions, trust, society, educational institutions, etc., where 10 or more employees are there. So it's not like male or female employees, it's said to be employees. So if your organization is having 10 or more employees, you're supposed to have ICC in place and required to follow the requirement of the PoSH Act. PoSH Act doesn't prescribe for any time frame within which you need to form this ICC, but it should be formed as soon as possible, so as to see like if there is an ICC is formed and there is a particular dissemination amongst the people. There is a requirement that at least half of the total member of ICC should be women. So while you are making or reviewing the existing ICC constitution of any organization, you need to ensure that more than 50% are women members. Places, whether we need to have one ICC or ICC to be set up at all locations where there are 10 or more. So going by the Act, you need to form different ICC for each location where there are more than 10 people employed. Term is, the ICC term is should not be exceeding 3 years. So every 3 years of the formation, they needs to be reconstituted or reappointed, or the persons other than the existing members could be formed as members of the ICC, so that there is no biased decision making in the process. Mandatory disclosure, as we all know, Companies Act require mandatory disclosure in the board report about the formation of an ICC. So we all, as a part of our audit exercise, do check this as a part of disclosure under the director's report. External member, there are some issues related to who can be an external member. So there are clarifications by some judgments in this area. The rules prescribe like the person should have at least 5 years of experience as a social worker, working towards women empowerment and in particular addressing workplace sexual harassment cases. There are certain judgments in this area where the constitution of an ICC is challenged in the High Court. And Delhi High Court observed that the background in law would suffice to meet the criteria of appointment as an external member, but not for an external member of an ICC. So if someone say like, okay, he's a lawyer and he deals with the labor matters, particularly he may not be qualified as a local external member, but if he has an experience in dealing with sexual harassment cases, he can be formed as an external member to an ICC. There are certain fees and allowances for the members. Just a second. The rules provide for like all the external members, if they are traveling to attend any of the meetings of an ICC, they should be paid for their transport and allowances, which is an employer's obligation to pay. If there are disqualifications for the members, they should be removed and other person should be appointed in their favor, in their place. And such disqualifications would involve contraventions of provision of section 16, which is like if they fail to keep the complaint confidential, there is a publication of a complaint, or they have been convicted of any offense which is pending before them, or they found guilty of any disciplinary proceedings, or they have abused their position in continuance of the office, then definitely these members can be or should be removed and other persons should be appointed in their place. We have seen there are cases where the constitution of an ICC is being challenged before the court. So we need to be a little bit cautious on who are there, or it's not just for the sake of compliance the ICC is formed, but there are equally qualified and persons who are committed to do the job. But it's not like every time there is a case and we are reconstituting the ICC, and it should be properly constituted for dealing such kind of a situation if arise within the organization. There are some ambiguity or questions we receive from many of our member friends, like whether I need to register my ICC with any government body. Act per se doesn't require ICC to be registered, but there are some state level notifications. Like for example, in Maharashtra and Telangana, there are notifications which requires the offices there to register their ICC at particular local labor office. So Telangana has provided this notification, which they have aligned with state she-box. She-box is for other employees where the strength is less than 10, or they are employed in a government structure, or they want to go outside the organization and complain. So objective here of ICC or PoSH Act is like the matters should be dealt with within the organization and should not go public. But where the employee doesn't have confidence on the ICC, or whether they prefer to go out and deal with the matter, it's like an reputational loss for all the organization employees and otherwise. So it's preferred to deal the matter within the organization and try to provide the required redressal to the complaint. Similarly, the Mumbai has also asked the organizations there to register their ICC at the subdivisional magistrate office. Notification also provided for a liability or penalty for failure to register, which is questionable because since Act doesn't provide for such penalty or for registration. The Act only provide for in case you fail to form an ICC or you are unable to unable to comply with the ICC PoSH requirements, then you are liable to have a penalty of 50,000 rupees for first offense, subsequently twice the amount, or the Act also provide for cancellation of a license issued to your organization, which is a serious thing. Then there is a requirement to train the ICC as well as employees. ICC should be properly trained to deal with any such complaint. Since this is a sensitive matter and confidential matter, ICC should be properly trained to deal these kind of situations. So here also there is an opportunity for professionals like you and me to train the ICC as well as employees of the client organizations in this domain. The Act doesn't provide for the frequency of these trainings, but at least one training should happen during a calendar year. There could be more since depending on the turnout or employee attrition rate in the organization. So you can have multiple trainings during the year. So it's on employer obligation to provide training. They can hire professionals to provide these trainings. So important case or important matter here is like, what is sexual harassment? Because there could be different type of harassments we could see within the organization, which a person may experience in these situations. So what would qualify as a sexual harassment? So Act is having a very wide definition, which is taken from the Supreme Court judgment in the Vishakha case. And it could involve like physical, verbal, and non-verbal kind of activities. Any physical contact or advances, demand or request for sexual favors, making sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, or any other unwelcome verbal or non-verbal conduct of a sexual nature. The last one is very broad in its nature, where it could cover any type of statement or action of yours, which could be of sexual nature, and the person get impacted by it and they have raised a complaint about it. The first step of prevention is recognition, as we say. So unwelcome sexual is a subjective experience. So this has been taken up in the court as well. So the Delhi High Court has endorsed a view like the sexual harassment thing is a subjective experience. So you may say, okay, I haven't meant that way, or I don't have an intention to say something like that. But if other person has taken it in that way, or they have felt it badly, or that got impacted, they could definitely raise it as in sexual harassment. There are other type of workplace harassment is. So one, we as a consultant should keep in mind like whether the complaint is made for a workplace harassment or a sexual harassment. In case it is a workplace harassment, we need to guide the person or the organization, like it should be held as per the code of conduct of the organization if it's falling within the misconduct, or it should be reported to the HR department. They should deal with it as per their internal protocol or code of conduct. Rather than bringing it in under the ICC to be managed or to be dealt with as per the provision of the PoSH. Behavior, there are certain behaviors which could constitute sexual harassment. This you need to probably let your employees know so that they are aware, because in this case, it's not against only employees working. It could be employees who are coming as a client or as a guest or as in trainees to your organization. So statements like making sexually suggestive remarks, serious or repeated offensive remarks, offensive comments or jokes, inappropriate questions, displaying sexist or other offensive pictures, intimidation, threats, intimidation, or retaliation against an employee, unwelcome about this. This is an extended list, like where physical contact, such as touching, pinching, kissing, or founding someone against her will, invasion of personal space, persisting, asking someone out, stalking an individual, abuse of authority, falsely accusing or undermining a person behind closed doors, controlling a person's reputation by rumor mongering about her private life. These are certain examples of sexual harassment at workplace which we have seen and could require an inquiry. These are certain matters which may not be sexual harassment, but merit inquiry to see whether they require an action against a person or as per the PoSH Act, like criticizing, insulting, blaming, exclusion from group activities, statement demanding a person's reputation, damaging a person's reputation, removing areas of responsibility unjustifiably, inappropriately giving too little or too much work, constantly overruling authority without just cause, unjustifiably monitoring everything that is done, blaming an individual constantly for errors without cause, repeatedly singling out a person kind of arrangement. These are certain examples which may indicate workplace harassment and may merit inquiry. Systematically inferring on normal work condition, humiliating a person in front of colleagues, controlling the person by withholding resources, kind of stuff. These are certain behaviors which may not constitute sexual harassment. Person may raise a complaint, so you need to clarify or put that person in clarification, like these are certain incidences or examples where this may not fall under the sexual harassment thing, because sometimes just out of office rivalry or just a fit of an anger, person try to align or put in complaint against a person under the sexual harassment because they feel like, okay, I can get an easy remedy under that. But we need to be very cautious about, like, these are not something which can qualify as in sexual harassment, like following up on work absences, requiring performances to job standards, the normal exercise of management right, work-related stress like meeting deadlines or quality standards, conditions of work, constructive feedback about the work mistake or and not the person. We also need to see, like nowadays, because of the lockdown and all online things going on. So these sexual harassments are not only constrained to a physical workplace, it also extended to a virtual place, and the person can complain about sexual harassment even virtually, like he's been stalked or he's been asked or seen inappropriately and all that stuff. Forms of workplace under the Act. The Act basically define or gives it a nature of like what would qualify as sexual harassment is. First category is quid pro quo, which literally means this for that, which means like implied or explicit promise of preferential or detrimental treatment in employment if one favors someone, implied or expressed threat about present or future employment status in case the person fails to or refuses the request. Hostile work environment, like creating an hostile, intimidating, or an offensive work environment, and humiliating treatment likely to affect the person's health or safety. Who is an aggrieved woman? As we said, aggrieved woman could be who is working within the organization. She may be visiting your place. She may be a student. Even the domestic workers, regularly, temp, ad hoc, daily wagerer, all are included, even for remuneration or voluntary basis or otherwise, employed directly or through agent, contract worker, probationer, trainee. So all sort of workers who you may think of are covered within the definition of an aggrieved woman. But since the act is protecting the woman, it's only specific to women employees. But since if your organization falls or follows the gender neutral policy, these protection can be provided to all sort of employees or persons coming to your organization. What is in workplace? So workplace is defined as any place visited by the employee arising out of or during the course of an employment. So this is also an extended definition, which includes transportation provided by an employer, or your office parties, or your seminars, or any workshops you are attending for organizations. So all sort of any event happened at any such incidents will be treated as in workplace. Employee expectation of in such situation is like there should be a trained, skilled, and competent complaint committee who understand the issue, sensitive about the issue, and can provide a time-bound process. Information confidentiality should be there. Assurance of non-retaliation. Sometimes it happens like there is a fear, like in case I complain, there could be an a different action against me, or there will be a non-retaliation. Counseling should be there, or any other enabling support where needed, like if it's about hierarchy or the persons in the similar team, they could be placed in the different teams or different departments. Or assistance if the complainant opts for criminal proceeding. Like in case they want to go for criminal proceedings, the employee should expect that the organization should help or understand their situation and help her out. And that's why the ICC is there to redress any such grievances. So ICC objective is to provide a redressal mechanism to any such situation. What's in person's obligation in case of an sexual harassment? Like in case a person faces any such incidents, he or she can report within 3 months from date of such incidents. In case there are sequence or series of incidences, the requirement says 3 months from the date of the last incident. Here, ICC also has power to extend this timeline of 3 months where they feel there are genuine causes where the person was not of a mental condition to complain, or there are necessary situations where the time should be extended or provided to a person. They can extend such timeline and accept the complaint and take action against action on it. The complaint should consist of, as per the Act, should have a date, timings, respondent names, and parties' working relationship. So it should have the dates of the incident when such incident has taken place, so that necessary investigation can be taken. Because obviously more of the organizations are now have CCTV cameras and other persons like availability, or there are guards in places. So necessary evidences or testimony can be provided for such incidents taken place. Who all can complain? So there is an extensive definition in case a person fails to complain, or probably she is not in a capacity to make a complaint. In such situation, complaint can be made by any of their relative, friend, co-worker, National Commission for Women, State Commission for Women officer, or any other person who has knowledge of such incident. In case of an unfortunate death of any such person, this can be filed by any of their legal hire or any other person who has knowledge of such incident. In case of a mental incapacity, it could be filed by any of their special educator, doctor, or the person who has knowledge of this incident. ICC redressal process, this table depicts like what should be an ICC in case you are in ICC or advising the organization. This should be a flow of event for the investigation process. First of all, the complaint need to be thoroughly reviewed. It includes like what offense has taken place or what action has taken place, whether, as we have seen, whether it falls under the workplace harassment thing or sexual harassment thing. review the applicable policy of the organization, read with act, rules, and guidelines. Develop a plan. A plan needs to be developed, like how to go about this complaint. Meet first to meet the complainant to give him comfort and confidence, like she is in the safe hands, so her complaint would be responded appropriately and necessary action would be taken. Then to meet the respondent to have an other point of view or their school of thought, like what's their thing, because most of the things normally get resolved at respondent situations at where he's been made known, like there is a complaint. He could come up with an apology where they understand like there's a misunderstanding or they were not supposed to do that kind of thing. They could go for an conciliation kind of thing or written apology where the matter can be resolved. Further is to, in case they are often non-subjective kind of thing where they are refusing, like okay they haven't done, then to meet the witnesses, record statements and have them dated and signed. This is very important for us as professionals to understand. Wherever when you are meeting the complainant or respondent and they are making some allegations or putting some statements in record, it should be taken and dated and signed so that later on they cannot come up and say, okay, I haven't made this complaint or I haven't said this. Then the ICC or the persons who are dealing with the situation would be at back foot because they haven't have any records to show like this has been made as a complaint or the person has said so. So it's important to record their statement whenever you're meeting. Probably you can prepare a questionnaire and get it signed from them as per their statements, so that you have record and save the ICC and organization. Once you have all these statements and situations and witnesses in place, you can review and adopt a plan as needed, like whether to conduct further investigation, meet further people, or arrive at the findings and give recommendations, and accordingly prepare and report to and submit it to the organization for particular action. Like actions could be like to take against the person who has made the complaint, or in case there is a false complaint, necessary action can be submitted to the organization. These are some non-negotiables in the whole process, which ICC need to ensure that confidentiality is very much important. We have seen a number of cases, and recent being in Gurgaon, where an allegation was made against a person who was at a high level, and the person couldn't take up the allegation, which went into the social media, and he committed a suicide. So confidentiality in these kind of an issue is very much important till the matter is resolved. And even after that, because it's about the person, the credibility on the person, even for the complainant to respond to any such situation is very difficult. So confidentiality should be maintained at a higher level. Non-retaliation is also something which ICC should ensure is there. It should not be like the person has made a complaint and a reverse action should be taken against them, or since she has complained, she is put in the bad books kind of thing. Recommend interim measure is also very much important, where the person is a direct reportee, then the reporting could be changed, or she could be put on leave, or she could be put on a different department to ensure that a fair inquiry is conducted in the whole process. Conciliation is very much important, as I have said, like many of the cases where the person is made aware the other person is getting affected by their action or word. The person could say like, okay, I haven't meant that way, and provided a written apology kind of thing. So the conciliation could take place between the two and the matter can be resolved. But something we need to ensure, since provided under the act and the rules, that no monetary settlement is should be advised or should take place. Where settlement has been arrived, ICC should record the statement so arrived and inform the employer to take action. Copies of the settlement to be provided to the complainant and respondent, and no further inquiry then to be conducted. Interim relief, as I have said, if there could be a transfer or a leave of a person for 3 months, restrain the respondent from reporting to the particular person, and or changing the boss or supervising academic activities or anything. This is very important where the management or ICC is of a view there's a false complaint. Then the matter should be taken up, because this act or the rights provided under the act should not be taken as an opportunity to file an complaint against a person just out of an fit of an anger, or just because of an office politics or office jealousy kind of thing. In case the ICC is of a view like or witness is there, or they have concluded or up to a conclusion like this complaint is wrong or false accusations are there, they could recommend actions such as written apology, warning, or even termination of in service of that particular person. ICC has civil court powers under the act, which means they can ensure summoning and enforcing attendance of any particular person related to the incident. They also can require discovery or production of documents involved in the matter, like messages, emails, or any WhatsApp messages, or anything involved in the whole incidents. For any other matter related to the incident of sexual harassment, ICC has powers of the civil court to ensure attendance and requiring documents. Timelines which need to be ensured or to be seen or kept in mind while dealing with any such complaint is like the person can make a complaint, as we have seen, within 3 months of the last incident. As soon as you receive the complaint, ICC has an obligation to send out a notice to both the parties within 7 days of receiving such complaint. And they have to complete the inquiry within a period of 90 days from receiving a complaint. So it's a time-bound process which ICC need to follow. Then they have 10 days of time to submit the report to the ICC. LCC is local complaint committee where the company or the matter relates to a local complaint committee. Then they are supposed to report within the 10 days of the completion of the inquiry. Implementation of recommendation, the organization has a time limit of 60 days to implement the recommendation of an ICC. And then appeal the person, if they are not happy with the recommendation or action by the ICC, they can apply for an appeal to the local complaint committee or to the ICC again to look into the matter again. Submission of an annual report. This is important from the reporting point of view, because this triggers where the company is complying with the requirement or not. Act doesn't provide for a timeline, but the state level notifications are there. We generally provide for 30 days from the end of the calendar year. Say, for example, so by 30th January, you are supposed to file this in each of the jurisdiction where you are having more than 10 employees. For example, Gurgaon has an extended timeline of till April you can file, or till 31st March for the last calendar year. So each state has a different, for Mumbai, it is by January 30th, you need to file it. And this report should have details like number of complaints received in a year, or number of complaints disposed of during a year, and the cases which are pending more than 90 days and reasons thereof, number of workshops and awareness programs carried out by employer. It includes both for ICC members and as well as for the employees. Nature of action taken by the employer in all such cases. So this is the requirement under the PoSH Act, which needs to be reported on an annual basis to the local labor officer or the designated officer for that particular location. Next is the topic of the day, like how we as professionals can help in compliance of this act, although this act is seems to be not that large because it only has 30 sections and hardly any rules, 14-15 rules. But when you see the impact of it, it's very important to have it widely circulated. So as a professionals, we have first role in the policy drafting. In case client has already a policy which provide for PoSH related provisions or sexual harassment related provisions, you need to see whether they are aligned with the act, because when the authorities, you file something with authorities will also ask for the necessary amendments in the act to include the formation of an ICC or requirement of the PoSH Act in your particular policy. So your work could, or our advisory could be around drafting of an PoSH policy, a review of the existing policy, modification, or based on the principles or the company's policies, like whether you want it gender specific or gender neutral policy, whether it is only for particular gender you want to put protection or for all the employees. Then obviously, as part of an audit exercise, we can see whether the company has formed ICC, whether it is specifically formed as per the requirement of the act, whether it's been displayed at all locations. Then policy review, implementation and display, whether the policy is there and whether it is implemented and informed and displayed at a particular places. Because this display is also, some of the state levels even want a photograph of the policy and the notice of an ICC being formed, displayed, and the photo clicks and as a part of the annual reporting. Post trainings conducted during a year. This is important, where you can take up trainings for ICC members and employees, and can check as part of an audit exercise whether such trainings has taken place during the year. Annual return filed for the company. As we have seen, there is a requirement to file annual return. So you can check whether the company has filed such annual return for the previous year or not. Whether there is any sexual harassment matter, whether the same has been disposal as per the requirement, or whether the same has been reported. To render as an external committee member, this is very important, and especially for our female professionals. There's a great demand, and I must say there's a requirement from most of our clients, whether they want female external members to be part of their ICC. Since it's more than 50% should be female employees, so they want some external members to be there. So it's a great opportunity for members to get acquitted with this act and advise the management and the organizations per se. Trainings is also an important area where you can provide trainings. Advisory and assistance in making compliance of the PoSH law and filing, where you are advising as an external consultant. You can advise them on how to file the return with the respective authorities and to make the compliance of the law. And finally, as a consultant, to handle any such matter, like how to handle if there is any complaint, how to make a plan and conduct interviews and all that stuff. So this is some areas where you can spread the word. And lastly, we need to, as professionals, you can say, spread the word so that there is a good working environment in every organization, be it ours or its client's organization, so that make sure that policy which is formed and effectively communicated to all the employees, whether they are paid or they are interns or volunteers coming to our organization. We also need to make our employees and persons sensitive about the sexual issues and the nature of sexual harassment cases we have seen. So sensitization of these issues are important, so that they are respectful of the opposite gender while rendering their services in the organization. With this, I think I am done, and you are open to have any queries. I'm happy to address any of the issues you have. I think we are well within the timeline.
Yes, sir. Very true. Very nicely and subtly put it, sir. Amazing presentation in terms of making a good awareness about how this law is there in letter and in spirit. It has to be complied by larger masses for most of the organization where more than 10 employees are working. So a couple of questions are there in the forum, which I'll start asking you. I mean, you may answer them. Some of them I am interjecting in terms of my thought process and my insights as well. So the first question, sir, is whether the policy should be circulated to male employees as well, and any awareness and any prohibition to be done at intimation level, whether known or unknown. Of course, it is covered in the policy. We would like to hear from you, sir.
No, it's the policy should be communicated to all employees, not only to a gender specific persons like or male employees or female employees, because this policy has a nature of like what's your role and responsibility. So both type of genders should know their action could impact the other person, you can say directly or indirectly. Maybe there are a lot of times we see like, okay, the people get comfortable and they share some kind of jokes, and sometimes but they need to be a little cautious of like their statement or their any comment on any person could be taken as badly. So both type of employees should be aware of. So the policy should be framed in such a manner and communicated to all the employees of the organization, be at a lower level or at a higher level.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Also, sir, because the law was drafted way back in 2013, how do you think that how many cases generally get reported every year under this? Because of course, these are all internal data and things like that. How many cases actually get escalated and get resolved as well, sir?
No, there is a survey conducted by a law chamber, and initially there was a number was less. Only 38% of the cases were reported. But gradually we have seen, since there are more and more awareness among the employees and the persons, these matters are being reported and people are cautious about their actions within the organizations, that such a matter could be treated as or taken as that. So they are a little cautious. So objective of this act too, you can say in layman terms, is prevention is better than cure. So that is something as an objective of this act. So more and more cases, as we have seen in the recent past, gradually and slowly the number is increasing and people are becoming more aware of their rights and they are making a complaint for it. And it's not necessary the person has done anything wrong. There could be a misunderstanding issue or there is a wrong behavior. So matter has been resolved at an apology level or the warning kind of letter where they are made aware of like, okay, their action could impact others. Sometimes it's like become a habit and they are not aware of like their action could impact others. So that is something people should be made aware of.
Nicely put, sir. Nicely put. Also, sir, you were mentioning during your presentation that this act tries to cover women, but it is again to the organization to be gender neutral and all those things. Mm-hmm. So if an organization is not being gender specific and it is only helping women, how can men get protected? Because a lot of after Me Too cases, a lot of Men Too cases also started spurring out. So what are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. And most of the clients we are working with, they are going to gender neutral policy. But you are right, there are many organizations who just to tick the box kind of a requirement, they are following the act as in protection to women employees only. So in such cases, the employees has to go as per the HR policy of an organization. They can report to the HR head or as per the code of conduct of their organization. Because definitely we have seen that if it's not there in sexual harassment policy, it's somewhere there in the misconduct policy. Right. So the employees are regulated by a certain code of conduct and they are supposed to. In case they are not getting any remedy internally, they are free to go outside also, because this is something as an external support to an internal management to the company. Both male and female employees, if they are not happy with the treatment or the redressal being given by the organization, they can pursue the criminal protection being given under the code of law.
Very nicely put, sir. Very nicely put. Any other parting thoughts, sir, which you would like to share?
No, I think this act is a little bit in the whole gamut of things to provide a good, healthy working environment within our organization. And we as professionals has an obligation to spread the word, make our clients comfortable and employees, most importantly, confident and comfortable with this act in place, and otherwise also so to have an confidence on the internal, you can say, redressal mechanism put up by the management. So with this, I think, and it put forward the good opportunities for professionals like you and me to and especially for the female professional friends we have in this domain. So this is a domain specific expertise you can build in, and definitely this is a long way. And people do demand to have some people on their internal committee. I think that is something which we can look into as professionals.
One macro thought which I was just getting, sir, it's from a personal side, not from the audience. Will it be in the right spirit to link this on and give some weightage within a corporate governance policy as well of a company, wherein a metric can be established so that it gets implemented in a proper way? What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely. It's anyways part of the overall corporate governance policy of an organization, because conduct of employees is part of your overall governance issue. And to provide a healthy working environment is something which every organization nowadays is you can say working on. So this is definitely your thought is very much right. Like this could be part as an overall corporate governance policy of an organization, how they conduct themselves, how their employees conduct themselves with other employees or with the people who are visiting them. So I think, yeah, your point is very much right.
Thank you so much, sir. So we would like to give a round of applause to you for a fantastic presentation, sir. Most pranams and amazing topic and very nicely taken, sir. So really happy to have been part of this moderating session, moderating.
My worry was to cover this topic, the number of other issues also, but just to wrap it up within 1 hour so that we'll have time for Sunilji also and for other speakers also. So my intention was to wrap it up within 45 minutes so that we have 10-15 minutes for the question answer session also.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. It was an amazing session, sir. I have been learning about this from quite some time. So very nice to follow and get updated as well, sir.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So thank you very much, sir, for your presence today. Thank you for sparing your valuable time. We are very insightful on that, sir. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yes, sir. So members and everybody, moving on to the second topic of the seminar. A brief introduction about CA Sushil Pandey, who will be covering the second topic about CFO services, how mega professional opportunities are available in this landscape. So a short introduction about CA Sunil Pandey. He is a qualified chartered accountant and a CMA and from IIM Calcutta alumnus. Has more than 24 years of corporate and industry experience. He has co-authored a book, which is an ICCC publication in the name of Virtual CFO. He has been working as a CFO and the board advisors of different companies for more than a decade now. He is based out of Mumbai and is developing a co-ownership advisory platform, which is www.atharvritcapital.com, along with like-minded CFOs and CXOs from diverse industry domains to cater to different board advisory and CFO services to MSMEs as well. He is working as a strategic partner to MSMEs for turnover, profitability, and valuation growth. He is supporting MSMEs in all its CFO service functions, that is, fundraising, change management, cost management as key survival strategy, ERP implementation, manpower planning, tech initiatives, corporate and financial restructuring, cash flow management, MIS automation, accounting reforms, SME listing, etc. He has been speaking on different professional and industry platforms, that is ICI, ICWI, CREDI, Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce, CII, etc., on different topics related to finance and economy. We welcome you, sir. Over to you, sir, to get started on the session, sir. If you can unmute and we can get kick-started, sir. Well before time.
Thank you so much, Dinesh, and I wish to thank Sushil also for his kind consideration. Of course, there is always this case that last speaker gets, so his time gets curtailed because the topics are so interesting and there are question and answer sessions. But thank you so much for accommodating this. Good evening, friends. Namaskar and Jai Hind. Respected seniors, dear friends. It is really a pleasure to get connected on this platform for sharing experiences and vision related to CFO service. Many thanks to Chairman C. Rajkumar Adukya ji, Vice Chairman C. Gyan Chandra Mishra ji, Dinesh, you also, thankful to you. Friends, COVID fear is resurrecting. We are aware that it is spreading. We are hearing news in Delhi, Mumbai, UP, and it seems it is always around now. So we need to be careful, take good care of your and your family. And during these challenging times, we have realized more than ever the importance of virtuality, collaboration, and networking. I will be repeating for the sake of recall value many things, many times, but I will be overemphasizing on these three words: virtuality, collaboration, and networking. So bear with me. We all have been thinking, meditating as to how to create better versions of our own self. I'm really excited for today's interaction, as it is less about discussion on any topic and more about sharing my own experience around CFO services, which I have been doing now for more than 4.5 years, and how it is great and wonderful opportunity for every CA member, be it senior member from the industry and practice, members at mid-level, both from industry and practice, and even for young CA lot, either coming from corporate experience or from practice background. So this opportunity is mega because it can be utilized by everyone. I'm of the belief that one idea, decision, one person is more than enough for any great impact. And today's idea is CFO service. The CFO service is an idea which is closer to both wealth creation for members and nation building at the same time. Again, a very good evening or good afternoon. Thank you so much. Let me bringing up the presentation I have today for all of you. Hope it is visible.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Now in full screen mode.
Yes, perfect, sir. Good to go.
Yeah. My profile, what I do, Dinesh ji already mentioned it. This is one book he was referring, ICI publication, freely downloadable, even available with us. Dinesh ji and team would be circulating it. So it's a 100-page approx book where we 4-5 senior people, senior persons, senior members who have been practicing CFO service for long, they have contributed to the book. Of course, our ICI publication, WIRC, and freely downloadable. You write it on Google and you will get it. So I think I should be starting our discussion with this Mool Mantra, and which I always feel for every chartered accountant that we are constructed, rather, chartered accountants are prepared through a long training and rigorous training. We are supposed to be coming out of world's toughest exams. So I personally feel and hope you are with me on this feeling that a ship is safe in harbor, but that's not what ships are built for. So for chartered accountants, every day, new exploration, new journey, going deep into sea and discovering marvels. So that is what we chartered accountants carry every day. As I mentioned, this discussion is going to be for everyone. This is not only for senior members who are coming from industry and want to do. And CFO services, there are few fundamental differences when we coin words like virtual CFO or CFO services or outsource CFO. So minor differences, and there is different connotation attached to these words. I will be explaining it all. The first thing first, and you will relish that it is this CFO service or management consulting type of thing is even available to younger CA lot. How that can be done, I will be definitely explaining in this deliberation. But let me explore first that these 3, 4, 5 words which we use interchangeably are not the same. For example, when we say virtual CFO and CFO service, CFO, for me, I'm of the view practicing this CFO service for long. I feel CFO service can't be all virtual. 70-80% part of it can be virtual. Of course, we all are utilizing technology, and virtually many things are possible. Because this whole concept of CFO service is around to bring changes to organization. And when we are collaborating or associating with organization for this kind of change management, this kind of business building, which is sustainable, which is supposed to be or expected to be sustainable on a long-term basis, there has to be some physical interaction, in-person interaction with management, HODs, overall team. The way a CFO, employed CFO is always there 24/7, but even CFO service people or board advisors or management consultants, they are also needed. So virtual CFO being done for startups or where no personal or physical interaction is required is something else. And it is also different in connotation because CFO services is more about assisting organization in business building. So it can be starting from finance thing, but it doesn't stop there. It goes beyond finance and accounts and even travels to sales, operational efficiencies, valuation built up, investor relationship, many more things, which is a normal phenomena to a good quality CFO. And of course, outsource CFO, interim CFO. So those are very different from this CFO service because here an organization is being associated in CFO service concept, an organization is being associated and taking responsibility for 3x, 5x, 10x growth of the organization, and it is required to do many things around that. While as outsource CFO or interim CFO, they have different connotations. So outsource CFO, generally what happens that senior ex-CFOs go to, or senior people from the industry or member from the practice, they go to organizations, startups, as if they will be coming to the organization once or twice in a week. And they will be taking care of the overall responsibility, which is attached to CFO. There is no CFO full-time in the organization. And then this outsource CFO, and mostly it is tilted towards compliances thing, less on strategy, more on compliances. So I'm mentioning all these differences because it is very important you to understand when we are talking about CFO service. And we are discussing CFO services, which means helping organization to build business, bring about change management. So this is very interesting and very simple story. We all could recall when we were young, we might have heard this story from Panchtantra. Thirsty crow goes to a pot, he puts efforts, and so I'm talking about smart crow who is thirsty. So rather than going to a pot and putting so much of effort, the crow can be flying high and can be spotting many water bodies, ponds like places, and where he can go and quench his thirst. So probably I feel that I belong to that kind of crow lobby who wish to see things from a height, and they want to have a comprehensive picture. Why I'm mentioning this as a story to chartered accountants, because in due course, we all chartered accountant become specialist, and we are bound to become, that becomes the core. But the core strength becomes the laggard, the constraint, and we stop seeing big picture. So what we see are trees, and what we actually should try to explore is a forest. So seeing anything from the height or having a comprehensive and big picture, and that is what I feel is missing. And many of the time I talk to my friends in industry and people who are in conventional practice. They always understand their client's business more than their own client does. So many of the time they are very good at data, they understand the business, but anyhow they are in a routine where they are not making that impact which is expected from them and they are capable of making. So we'll discuss all those things in due course. So probably my discussion is to invite you or to motivate you to see. See, I'm a chartered accountant. I have worked for 2 decades in companies, and I have been interacting with chartered accountant in practice. Some were tax consultants, some were finance consultants. But what I found is that they were specializing in, barring few firms who were full service firm. Some were adept in taxation, some were in auditing, and those were need of the hour. Now we are living in an age of networking. So information, we all know, because of internet, it is all free. And many of the time, more study, more confusion comes when we track information. So I have due respect for information knowledge, but at the same time, my caution is that we are living in an age of social revolution. So we must bring our capabilities to a level where we can leverage other professionals, other members, other associates' capabilities to the best of the whole ecosystem for us, for the client. So when we talk about CFO service or business building, it is not only limited to finance and accounts thing, the whole gamut of finance and accounts, audit, tax, fundraising, but it goes beyond even to think of how to increase sales. So how to increase sales, which brings best margins. And believe me, as a chartered accountant, we are capable of it. We have been told for budgeting. We have, fortunately and unfortunately, most of the time, we have not been doing budgeting, particularly in SMEs. But believe me, if we start doing budgeting, we are very near to whatever a sale team is doing vis-a-vis sale or operation and engineering department doing when it comes to major portion of cost. So we, the CFO, contribute to all these facets, but we can start thinking even at a younger age, and we can start contributing to these areas. So my invitation is to all chartered accountants to come from a low ROI practice area to a high yield and high impact practice area, which is listed in the slide. This is one more bold reflection. We chartered accountants, the fraternity is meant to be partner in nation building. My personal view is, if we want to be we want to be seen as a fraternity which is partner in nation building, we must be doing business building. How can we be partners in nation building when we are not partners in business building? So the bold proposition is that, and believe me, we all chartered accountants are fully capable of doing it. The idea is, the proposal is, expand your horizons, see how businesses are being run. We already know many things around it. Let us make some effort to align ourselves with the counterparts. For example, if I'm a chartered accountant with audit tax capabilities, I can be collaborating with finance initially. Later on, going beyond CA fraternity, we can be collaborating with CHROs, CIOs, CBOs, and 4 or 5 people can be ready for contribution to organization from all sides. And that is what we do in CFO services. I have already overemphasized around network and alliance because of the fact that we are living in an age of social revolution. So as I initially mentioned, this is less about Gyan topic or telling something out of knowledge. It is more of my story as to how I got motivated to start my own CFO service firm. So after working for so long in the industry, and I thought I have worked a lot as CFO. I worked as 7-8 years as CFO in different organizations. I found there is these are few things not happening or not happening the way I wanted. So self-actualization was missing. We all have learned about Maslow's motivational theory. So, and I felt that I was a vicious circle. I was getting bored of it. Wealth creation was not there. There was nothing left for legacy also. For example, I rise up in the organization, I do many things, but there would not be anything legacy for my generations to come if I'm employed in any business for long. Other than that, I had a dream of running one organization, and then of course creating something revolutionary, something of consulting sort. So it was always a dream, and everybody has a dream. He's in vicious routine because of compulsions, because of different, but as soon as he ages, one gets to an age of 40, 45, he starts realizing, and given some help, there are many who are ready to actualize their dream and would want to become more. And other than that, I wanted to return to my roots. I want to, even if I'm in Bombay, I wanted to connect to my hometown, Lucknow, and I was there, of course. So I wanted to do many things. So these are few things uh, which motivated me. Uh, and then, of course, coming to this, uh, when I was CFO, I was working around 12 hours a day, and everything I was earning was allocated. So no legacy, no financial freedom, no wealth creation. So I'm talking about job I was in, flexibility, family time. So I thought I should be doing the same thing and should be devising a model which brings all the things to me. And because of this CFO service thing, I think I'm in a right direction. I'm doing, and I'm sharing it all with you. This is one good idea, and it always motivates me whenever I think of making great impact, or how to live my life, or how. So Vivekanandaji's proposition that if you want to make something very big, discover one idea and devote your life to it. And believe me, whatever it is, one idea, and if you are going to devote your own whole life for it, it will take you to places, and it will take you to success. So what is it CFO service all about? I have already touched upon few things. I have already explained something which is CFO service and which is different from virtual CFO or outsourced CFO. Why this board advisory term? Because I can't be a quasi CFO by designation. So there should be some designation with the client. And I feel that board advisory or board advisor is the appropriate designation when we enter into a relationship with. It's a management consulting, but the vision is to be with the company for long term and help them business building and keep on doing many things from quarter to quarter. Virtuality and CFO services, I have already explained. It can be 80-90% virtual, but not all of it is virtual. Third, very important, it's a domain specific. For example, I am a ex-CFO from real estate or logistic domain. So I can be justifying doing CFO service for these domains. But if I need to do CFO service for pharma, I need to collaborate with my kind of ex-CFOs for doing CFO services of pharma. So this becomes the major constraint and in fact the major propeller of growth, because assuming 3-4, one cannot be handling or managing more than 3-4 firms as a client at one time. We need to scale up in terms of our association with cross domain CFOs. So if I need to grow as a firm, I need to have people from logistics, people from cement, people from, and when I call people, they are senior members from industry, CFOs, to do this CFO service. And proprietary versus platform, if you want to do it in a big way, and eventually nowadays our institute is also promoting affiliation, networking firm, and many more things. So that is part and parcel of social revolution. So nowadays what is happening is that people are collaborating with each other more than ever because of this cross geography, cross functional arbitrage, and it is required by industry also. So I can't, or 2, 3, 4, 5 partners can't be available everywhere. So we need to enter into association. And if we want to bring it as a large organization, so ownership model is one model, but platform model is even more successful. I'm seeing many of the CFO service firms are being made on this model. So platform means associates, we are doing our own thing, associate is doing his own thing, but there is a scheme of arrangement where we get associated for doing transaction together. And fifth, in CFO services, we can start from accounts, tax, and compliances. We can be taking care of accounts, tax, and compliances, but it is never 10-20% of the whole thing. So 80% is strategy, growth, finance, investor relationship, listing, and many more things related to organization growth. So this slide is to reflect that this CFO service or board advisory, it is required probably by all small and big size firms. How I will be explaining definitely. So we all understand for SME where good quality CFOs are not there, startups, good quality CFOs are still to come in because of size constraint. Believe me, it is required more by big organizations, because irrespective of the size of the company or organization, there is only one CFO in the organization. And I myself have been CFO for long. When I was focusing on 2-3 things, there were 7-8 priorities left, which were to be attended after finishing this thing. And I always admired that I should be getting. So specialists were available, tax consultant, finance consultant, and many other consultants, experts were available from different firms. I always admired that I should be getting ex-CFOs doing this kind of CFO services with the flexibility of roping in other ex-CFOs, because it enhances my capability as existing CFO manifold. And I can bring me great impacts through this kind of association. And what if these kind of CFO services are available on purely delivery-based professional fees, right? So that is what is happening now. Many of such CFO service, including mine, is available, but and mostly the association is delivery-based. So multiple assignments are identified, and then of course professional fees are proposed according to these multiple assignments. And this high quality CFOs have not been going to non-profit organizations. I feel this is area government initiatives, non-profit organizations. My kind of CFOs and probably many of CFOs would want to work which helps community, which helps country. So this can be a method of utilizing senior resources for country and community. Few of the case studies I wanted to explain just to reflect as to why this CFO service is a bit different from the regular management consulting arrangement. And I think 1 or 2 I will be taking it up here only. So in CFO service firm, for example, there is, and I'll not be sharing name of the firm, but suppose there is a hospital of 20 crore turnover, where the profit of 4 hospitals nowadays, you understand, healthcare is green, and generally, even if it is a small size hospital, 20 crore turnover size, 3-4 crore is the profit. So they have been there for long, 10-15 years. They have been reaping the profits, but then again, their corporate governance was be readable
Recording in
more
progress.
if I compare only 6,000-7,000 listed companies. And even after putting decades efforts, only 600-700 SME listed companies are there. So see the kind of opportunities we have as a business builder community, as a chartered accountant community, which intends to build businesses or support building businesses along with the promoter. And it will include everything: benchmarking current finance portfolio, bringing additional finance, capital market strategy. There are many things which can be done around these SMEs, which is unthinkable, which can't be thought of without our kind of senior finance leadership available with the company. So we do cost management and targeted cost management. Valuation, I have already explained. Getting company prepared for private equity. For example, one of our close associate has done approximately 130 crore PE deal in pharma. So without listing, this was done. So I don't think this kind of value can be brought without engaging a high quality and good quality CFO. So I have touched upon few things. These are quick precautions because I feel there are precautions. You may not be tempted more, as if everybody is in job and everybody would find my story to be very lucrative and should be jumping off from his current employment or current things. So few precautions, despite of the thing that it may be opportunity, maybe there may be great demand, but we should have at least 1 year cash flows as a ex corporate or any CFO willing to leave job, or vice president, senior vice president, senior persons willing to leave their job to start something, on any person in practice. So these are few precautions listed. I think I should not be reading it more. You may be reading it and might be asking any question around this. But the thing is that it takes time, at least 3 years time, for market to judge you for your commitment towards any idea. And rather than starting on your own alone, two should be a company. So one person should be your partner to get started. The way we advise to all startups, family support, of course, there should be full support from family. If family is not willing to support you, it may be a problem. Inner circle will come after outer circle, so don't depend much on inner circle support. They will be joining bandwagon only after seeing you in any stream for long. Cross-professional relationship works, so not only chartered accountants known to you, but many other professionals like advocates, architects, many other professionals networking can be helping you to garnish business. And I feel that 50 years become the benchmark age where so you need to decide it as early as possible for this kind of entrepreneurship. And if you really want to start, do some research, start discussing it with someone who is already doing it. Gyan and Sangat, of course, knowledge about the concept, CFO service, this becomes the first step today. But of course, you should be in the company of people who are doing. And of course, I feel there should be a institutional support, because this is a good idea. Institute has been promoting it. many of senior members have left their job and doing something like this. And there should be organized support available to members. Knowing is not doing. So this 1 hour session can motivate you to know more, but this doesn't become a popular. I feel, this is my feeling, knowing is not doing. You need to connect with people who are doing it and gradually get involved. So I feel that there is a scope uh, where institute can be having some committee or having some clusters virtually available, and they can be in-routing the demand for hand-holding. And of course, my kind of people are always there to be part of it, to support uh, anyone wanting to do this kind of CFO service or management consulting. So again, I discuss it for individual. Now I'm discussing what is to be done if one firm, CA firm, who is in tax or finance or many other streams, and they have been there for 30, 40 years, 10 years, 5 years, how should they get started? So my proposition is that they need to bring on board someone who has been CFO, because CFO service should be done by people who have been CFO. So a non-CFO will not be able to understand nitty-gritties of business building. And we shouldn't be selling CFO service concept for at the altar of selling many petty what should I say, accounting and financial services. So it's a wholesome bunch, and for this you require leadership. So collaborate with one person. You already have infrastructure in place. Bring someone on board who has been ex-CFO, and allow him to build this CFO service. You already have clients where this kind of requirement is there. So this becomes the starting point. And mind it, it's a domain specific thing. So if you want to start first of your CFO service client, probably attach with that client a ex-CFO who has been in the domain for long. Now comes the bit difficult part of it, because I have been telling that even young CAs can do this. So how they can be doing is, suppose there is one young chartered accountant just qualified, or 1 or 2 years, 5 years, or anyone who has left job for after 5 years, 10 years, want to start and have started already CA practice and still wants to do CFO service. So what he needs to do, he needs to collaborate with one CFO service firm. So he can be continuing doing whatever he's doing, but he needs to collaborate with one CFO. And there are a lot of CFO service firms available across different geographies: Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Pune. So they need to collaborate with CFO service firm to get started. At least 1 year they should be devoting as to learn along with that CFO service firm nitty-gritties of it, financing part, listing part, cash flow budgeting, sales budgeting, senior level interaction with the management, and many more things, and doing it through domains. So unlike this tax practice where it's more generalized, so it's not domain specific. Mostly it is done for on a generic basis. Here in this case, he needs to be patient for some time and learn nitty-gritties of a domain. I think we are approaching our time quickly. So this is a list how we propose to our client, as if what we are coming for: business building. We will be friend, philosopher, and guide. So we shouldn't be seen as service providers, because we are coming on board as board advisor and then be guiding um, promoters and HODs for different business building on a long-term basis. So it's a role of Krishna to Arjuna. So Krishna was never a service provider to Arjuna. So this becomes the concept that the association with the client is going to be long-term. And through this mechanism, high quality senior finance leadership becomes available and on a very affordable thing, because the idea is to collaborate and grow. So rather than charging amount on a hourly, monthly, and a difficult medium which is not affordable on SME right now, it can be charged on professional equity basis or many more mechanism which is more tilted towards success. So this becomes the idea. And CFO service is less on report making and advising, more of doing together. So focus is always on execution. Done through quarterly plans, we identify 4-5 things to be done for a quarter, right? And for each doables, there is professional fee attached, milestone based, of course, I have already explained. Team structure, very, very lean team structure. So one senior person with 1 or 2 manager can be taking of 4 or 5 organizations, and this becomes the team model. Mostly it is done on a built operate transfer model. Whatever people we are required to hire, we require in companies only. And most of the time it is senior leadership working with promoter and HODs of the company, utilizing their resources for doing many things. But of course, when we have as a leader 3, 4, 5 companies to do, we also have 5, 7, 10 years chartered accountants from the same domain experience helping us to do more. This is just to bring ex-CFOs closer to existing CA firms, as CA firms can be inviting ex-CFOs to build their CFO service business, because everything is ready. So infra is ready, first assignments, because chartered accountant firm is already ready with their existing clients to do CFO service firm. And of course, a CFO quality always can be helping chartered accountant firm for sourcing many other clients. Sometimes cash flow support is also, minimum cash flow support is also required to these kind of ex-CFOs coming to do CFO service. So that is all doable. And through CFO service firm, so when I was CFO, I was doing for one company, a lot of things for one company. And 90% of my time went into routine things. 10% of my time was utilized for strategy and growth. While as in CFO services, I can be doing more because I'm always on strategy, growth, finance, and many more things, which is of a long-term value and high impact value. So many things can be done. CFO service, in CFO services, you need to collaborate with like-minded people all across geographies. So it's a global phenomena. Very fast, very rapidly, we can be associated with people who are in different geographies. And thirdly, it becomes opportunity to give society back. So when we are in corporate or in vicious routine, we don't have time. Here we have time. So the psyche of giving back to society is always very natural after reaching our age. So that aspiration can also be fulfilled through this. So I feel every discussion, every Gyan session should have some action points at the end of it. So we are nearing end of the session. My proposition for members, please download this virtual CFO. I have already told you, you type on Google virtual CFO ICIA and you will get the link. You will download that. It's for freely downloadable 100-page book. You may refer for understanding it more. One-to-one discussion with anyone like me is required. Anyone who is in your geography. Virtually it is also possible, but he should be providing CFO services firm to let you know what is it all about, how it is being done. Although I'm trying to explain it in the most reasonable manner today, but even then there are questions in the mind, and you would like to have comfort of personal discussion. So that becomes the second thing. And try to identify the first client for CFO service. So even if you are chartered accountant in practice, younger, mid-level, senior, so try to identify first client who should be your first client to get started, and then of course learn and keep growing. These are few expectations of mine. If Dinesh can help me routing it through Rajkumar ji. So I feel CFOs can be produced, building domain-specific service.
Sunil, I am seeing this directly, and we discussed offline also.
Yes.
So I believe in a direct delivery rather than via my.
No, I thought you were not here.
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm listening.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. So these are few of my proposition. I feel that the way CAs are being built, CFOs can also build, and you already are knowing that I am Kolkata and other I am running these courses. They are trying to have a lot of chartered accountants at mid-level are going to those IMs, and they are charging huge fees, 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs rupees per person. And believe me, professors are training mid-level chartered accountants to become CFO, and I feel this is ridiculous idea. I feel CFOs, ex-CFOs should be training mid-level or CFOs to become great CFOs. So we can be having through institute support, we can be having all these, for example, incubation centers. So the way startups are being trained, even mid-level finance professional, finance leadership can be trained to become CFO, and it's very likely. So becoming a CFO is a very, very iterative process, while as it can be structured and they can be taught as to what is expected from CFO, and they can be built. And I believe that, of course, the institute has its social media platform or networking platform, but the kind of LinkedIn platform is there. If we have this kind of LinkedIn platform for all chartered accountants, knowing everything about our fellow chartered accountants, doing what are they doing, what are their aspirations, probably we can be collaborating across geographies, and we can be building more success story. This is all about from me. I should be putting an end to my presentation. Thank you so much, and I'm ready for your questions.
Thank you very much, Sunil Pandey sir. Rajkumar sir, I would like to take a minute or two to get the questions addressed. Then I'll hand it over to you, sir, for a formal vote of thanks.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So, sir, a couple of questions from the audience and personally from my side as well. I'll just throw them across. Few members are asking in terms of CAs who have just qualified a few months back and started practice. How can they approach startups or say MNCs or say any other CFOs, and what ways they can impact in terms of pitching and getting started? Which I've already addressed. We would like to hear from you again.
Correct. So I myself keep an eye for all vibrant chartered accountant who have just qualified, and I invite them for discussion. I try to rope in, so it becomes other way around, right? So one young CA doing proprietorship can't be going to MNCs to provide CFO services or management consulting. So that is unthinkable. But of course, let us collaborate. The way I have an opportunity to collaborate with you, you have the same opportunity of collaborating with me and my kind of people. So I've already explained it and told that try to get affiliated with one uh, such senior doing CFO service whom you can respect and whom you can trust for your long-term association, and be part of the team. So the way we can associate and collaborate with senior people in different geographies, within the same geographies, we can be part of each other. You do your own CA practice, I do my own CFO service, but for serving client, we can be joining hand, and there are many things we can be doing together apart from the routine conventional chartered accountancy thing. For example, I can be roping you for listing of the company. So when you get acquainted that listing, 90% of things are list based, you'll find it easy and doable. Otherwise, you would wait for 20 years to reach to a stage where you can start claiming that you are doing this kind of thing.
Absolutely,
I
sir.
have already explained.
Absolutely. So collaborating, networking, having a very good mentor like you and other senior professionals in the industry would get them kick-started. I think that answers the question, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The second question would be finance being a vast domain in larger organization. I'll slightly modify the question in terms of how can one specialize themselves to see certain key areas or to oversee certain key areas, be it in terms of compliances or advisory, or as you said on the listing parameters if they want to go. So how would you advise the younger generation and the mid-level managers to take it forward?
No, so my straight advice is that if you want to be in tax field, be there, but don't forget to collaborate with people who are in finance. So see, everybody cannot be like Rajkumar sir doing many things at the same time. So we are normal people doing normal things. There are very few people exceptional who can be equipped or who are blessed to have many things being done by them. My idea is remain in your core, but there are other opportunities to tap. And for tapping those opportunities, you need to build a team. And it's not always that you need to pay someone to hire him for building a team. For example, in my case, suppose I have gross association with 10 CFOs. Their monthly salary could be something I can't afford.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But their abilities are available to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So think in those kind of terms. See, I'm a tax consultant. How can I be taking care of financing thing and in financing, there are many financing. So don't try to be expert of everything. Remain in your core areas. And it's very easy to find a person in finance field rather than doing financing on your own. Collaborate.
Very true. Collaborate and networking should be the mantra for all the new virtual CFOs which they are trying to look out for. I'm also happy to share that we have more than 1,000 registrations. So our knowledge sharing of Sushil sir and Sunil sir put together have reached more than 1,000 members today. So it is very vibrant to note that. On this vibrant and amazing note, I would like and request CA Dr. Rajkumar Adukia to please share his thoughts about the session and a formal vote of thanks, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Sunilji, will you do the stop sharing, please?
Oh, 1 second.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Sunilji. Respected colleagues and to moving encyclopedia in their respective domain, Sushil Mehtaji and Sunil Pandeyji. See, this objective of the webinars on Friday and Saturday, that means every week we have 4 sessions on entirely different non-traditional domain. And now we are expanding our webinars, like 25th of April, we are starting a FEMA 8 webinars, which will be on Monday to Thursday, April, and then in May. And then 26th April, IPR, World IPR Day. So we are having a IPR webinar. Then 1st May is a RERA Day, and it is also Labor Day. Now, my message to each viewer is that everything happens twice. Today's webinar is, first it happens in the mind, and second time it happens in reality. Like CA Dinesh Chawla is here for the second time. First time he became the part of webinar when he spoke to me that he offers his services to be a moderator. So I slightly differ from what Sunil said, or it may be incongruous. You can do, the God has given unlimited power to us. When we have our self-image, we should not put any boundary on our capabilities and capacities. And as we go, like a river water, it will flow on its own. We have to take first step. Like today's 2 topic, the first topic, PoSH, is so simple law and applies to every organization which has more than 10 employees. And this we have taken one simple law, but when we take a larger topic, it is human resources management and compliance of labor laws. Again, HRM is a global service. The CFO service is a global service. Across the world, it can be rendered. And what Sunil Pandeyji said, we are already doing. What is incubation? We are there to do a hand holding for each one of you. We have unlimited time, So each participant does, and the easiest way which I feel, जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. If I want to be a virtual CFO, I should very aggressively post on all social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Insta, make YouTube videos. You do a webinar. See, in our code of ethics, there are 3 clauses. Clause 5, securing the work. Clause 6, soliciting the work. Clause 7, advertising the work. When we do pure knowledge sharing, none of this clause applies. None of this clause applies. And these are the best way to communicate to our prospective client that we know the subject. So, and once we start posting every day, automatically new ideas will come, what we can put in a, there may be a first message, and I am prepared to sit with those individuals, like on a Canva, which is a free platform, the design platform where we can make the flyer. So we may explain, what is what is virtual CFO? That can be a first message. Second message can be, what is an advantage of a virtual CFO compared to a full-time employed CFO? And then we can keep on explaining each task, how it can be done by virtual CFO. And similarly, one can be virtual legal counsel. The COVID-19, the biggest advantage, these webinars we were not doing before 2 years. COVID taught us, that Dinesh is from Chennai, Sushil is from Delhi, Sunil and myself is from Bombay, Madam Chanda Sukla and Krishnakant are ICI team Delhi, and Mr. Yash is from Ahmedabad. So we can think of a global, I may be in the smallest town of India. There may be 5,000 population, but I can become a global practitioner if I keep on sharpening my knowledge, if I keep on, Wallace Wattles has written a book called Science of Getting Rich. And there are 17 chapters. One chapter, which is out of other important, is impression of increase. If the client gives 5,000, value of our services should be either 7,000, 8,000, 10,000. Like how we buy product and services, we look at the value of the product or service, and then we look at the price which we are giving for the, like today you have attended this webinar. Now these 2 hours are very costly. Something else could have been done, but you felt the value by participating in this webinar. And we are doing multiple tasks. We are, Madam Chanda Sukla and Krishna Kant and the whole ICI team. We have a Telegram group. We have created various WhatsApp group. We are creating publications. Sunil Pandeyji, what you have written this, we can expand further. What was done was for WIRC. We can do it a global level. Like I was talking in before 4 o'clock, that we can do 1-day webinar. We can do some series, like we are doing FEMA 8-session series. We can do a virtual CFO series. So like that, we can enhance. Similarly, on employment laws, we want to do a certificate course on employment law and human resources management. So I request each participant to go all out, to be very aggressive in providing services. And I am passionate for non-traditional services. So traditional, we count 4: accounting, auditing, direct taxes, indirect taxes. So those gives us our bread. But if we want a butter on the bread, we have to move to non-traditional services. And those are very fascinating, very interesting, very enjoying. So with this, I end my address. I would invite participants, if they have any questions, left, right, center, without putting any limit. ये नहीं होता है, वो नहीं होता है, इसका क्या करें? I want those kind of questions. I would request Madam Chanda Sukla, Krishna Kant and Dinesh to assist me to have a look at those questions. Mr. Yes. And all hand holdings is available.
Sir, everybody is asking Sunil sir and Sushil sir's
is,
LinkedIn profile to get connected virtually, sir. So right now they have started that.
Any expert was beginner on the day 1. Mr. Sunil Pandey was a beginner on day 1. Today, and we keep on learning. We are never 100%. Till we die, we will not be 100%. Chandaji, Krishnakant, Mr. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Any query, any comment posted by a participant? And Mr. Yes, we want to move to interactive webinars.
Yes, sir. There are 2 questions which was already posted at the chat.
Yeah, that I know. Now what I'm saying, those are general things. What assistance members need, questions on that.
No specific queries are there, sir? Nothing.
No issue, no issue. The participants may note that from Monday, we have a FEMA webinars. You will find the details. Tuesday, 26th April is a World IPR Day. So we have a program on that. And then of course, our regular Friday and Saturday webinars are there. So Sushilji, thanks for your time and sharing your rich knowledge. Sunil Pandeyji, thank you for your time. And we end the webinar. Dineshji, it's a wonderful moderation you have done, and look forward to see you addressing one of our webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we end the webinar.